If you look around your landscape this time of year and find that it looks kind of blah, well, the good news is that there are lots of ways that you can introduce more interest into your winter landscape. The first way that I like to add winter interest is by adding some evergreens. Boxwoods, junipers, and spruce varieties are all really good options for our area, especially if you have a lot of deer. There are lots of other evergreen options out there like blue holly, pine varieties, arborvitae, yews. Some of those are less deer tolerant though, so you want to make sure that if you have a deer issue that you're picking some plants that are a little more on the deer tolerant side. Other ways to add winter interest would include planting things that have interesting bark. So that could be plants that have an exfoliating bark on them. That means the bark kind of peels off over time and ends up with a mottled type of a color where you've got one color underneath and a different color peeling off on top, and that can look really pretty. Some plants that come to mind would be paperbark maple, London plane tree, Coosa dogwoods, and river birch. Those are all really great plants with exfoliating bark. Also plants that have colorful bark on them. Red twig dogwood and yellow twig dogwood are pretty common examples of that. And that's a great way if you've got a lot of space. You can do a nice massing of something like a red twig dogwood, and that's gonna have a great pop of color for you in the winter landscape. Colorful fruit, that's another way to get a nice pop of color. There are a ton of options on the market for that. Some of the best ones that come to mind would be winterberry holly and blue holly. Just make sure when you plant those that you've got the female fruiting variety and then you've got at least one male variety that can pollinate the females so that you do have fruit. Some other options would be ornamental crab apples, and there are a ton of varieties of those on the market, and those are pretty easy to find. And winter king hawthorn, that's one of our favorite flowering trees. Flowering and fruiting trees. It's a really great plant. And then one other thing would be that you can let your ornamental grasses stand for the winter, and that's going to give you a nice texture, a nice movement in the landscape, and it can also serve as sort of a pop of color against the snow whenever you leave those stand. So lots of great ways to find ways to add color to your landscape throughout the winter. And if there's anything that we can do to help you to design that or install that for you, you can always give us a call here at Earthcraft. We'd be happy to help.